How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a discussion sort of video, because as some of you may know, in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, there are only about 150, or the original 151 Pokemon, right? But also on top of that, you have all the Kanto Alola forms are going to be included, or the Alola forms are going to be included in that game as well. The only way to get the Alola forms, though, is going to be to send them from Pokemon Go over to your game, or there's going to be another method, which I think Masuda mentioned in his interview he did with Famitsu. He specifically mentioned in that interview there's going to be one more way to receive those Alola Pokemon. But what I want to do today is take a look at the 6 only, okay? There's about 6 here. I may be wrong about the exact number, and if there is one I've missed, let me know. But remember, these are only Kanto Pokemon. So there are 6 Fairy types in these games, which means that there are more Fairy types in these games than there are Dragon types, which is really interesting because here's the thing, right? The way I see Fairy typing was like the answer to the overpoweredness of Dragon types in the past. Because Dragon types didn't have anything that they were like having a hard time against, except like Ice and, well, Dragon typing, right? So they really had an easy time, generally speaking. I mean, of course, Ice types were a problem, but they weren't even like, you know, that big of a problem, if I'm going to be frankly honest. But Fairy types were the destroyers of Dragon types. This is where the Dragon typing became, you know, it ended up in a really rocky, you know, relationship with Fairy types. So, either way, I want to go through some of the Pokemon that are going to be actually Fairy types, and also some of the Dragon types. So if you guys want me to go through each, like, sort of typing in this game, like which Pokemon have certain typings, and kind of discuss them a little bit, if you want me to do that for Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, please let me know, guys. I'd love to do more of these videos and kind of discuss these Pokemon and talk a little bit about them. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more of this, and let's get started here. So first things first, we have Clefairy, of course, which gained the Fairy typing once the Fairy typings were actually, you know, they came into existence, so to say, back in, like, Gen 6. And since the Fairy typing was introduced, they removed the normal typing of Clefairy and gave it a Fairy typing. And we know for a fact that it will be showing up in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, because you have other Pokemon, you know, specifically that are Alola forms that have Fairy typings, and if you remove the Fairy typing from them, it wouldn't really work. It would really be awkward. And if there were no Fairy typings, and all these Pokemon, like Clefairy here, and the other ones I'm going to talk about, if they didn't have the Fairy typing, then Dragon types would just be broken in this, you know, in these games, and you only have a few Pokemon to really stand against it. I mean, you know, we'll go through it, but either way, here we go. Clefairy, of course, Fairy type, evolves into, Clefable here, which we'll also take a look at in a second. They don't really, you know, we're not going to be able to see how we can catch it yet, but it's really not that hard. If you just look at it here, red and blue, if we can just find where it says how you catch it, if it even says it on Pokemon database, but it's not really that hard. Here we go. Right, so Celadon City and Mount Moon. Really simple to really catch it. It's going to be the same as these places. I guess not in yellow. They couldn't catch in Celadon City. So Mount Moon is the easiest place to catch it. It's like really early on in the gameplay, and you even see it in the actual gameplay images that they show of Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. It's a really simple Pokemon to get, not too hard. Very straightforward, and it's going to be useful. Trust me, having a Clefairy in your team is going to be useful because you will be running, if you're playing competitive online. I mean, it's not really going to be super competitive, but if you're playing online, you may want to have like a Fairy type on hand. Maybe not this one specifically, maybe not specifically Clefairy, but if you do run into someone who's going to be running, and I bet you, I swear to all God, there's going to be so many people running Dragonites and so many people running Mega Charizard X. If you do encounter those, then make sure you have on hand a Clefairy and like a Clefable or something. So, you know, you can catch it on Mount Moon, and then, of course, you can get Clefable by evolving it. Not too hard, very simple, straightforward. And as far as I know, there's not going to be any items or abilities in these games, so, you know, you don't need to worry about, you know, what items, abilities, etc. you need on them. Just gotta have the Pokemon and know what it's strong and weak against. So, Clefable, another Fairy type. You know, only way to really get it, which we can read down here, is going to be evolving it from Clefairy, of course. So nothing too crazy there. Clefable is just a decent Pokemon. Looks a little bit odd in my eyes. I like Clefairy's, like, you know, kind of smaller size, but once it evolves, it's just like, okay, cool. It looks interesting, but whatever. So, simple as that. Get yourself a Clefable. It's useful. Or if you don't want that, you can always get a Jigglypuff, of course, which has a normal Fairy typing, which I do love. This is one of my favorite Pokemon. Jigglypuff, I freaking love this thing. It's tiny, it's a simple design, it's adorable, and I loved it in the anime. It was a freaking, just a joy, this Pokemon. I freaking loved it. Now, as for catching it, though, it's a little bit different, okay? As far as I know, it's like a little bit further into the game. Actually, no, it's Route 3 in Red and Blue. Really? I can't remember that, because I remember I never really caught it in those games when I, replayed them, or Fire Red, Leaf Green, when I replayed those. I never really caught them there, but, okay, I guess I thought it was going to be further in, but I guess Route 3, which shouldn't be really that hard to get it, it's really early on. Oh, yeah, right, wow, I totally forgot. It's right before, okay, wow. I totally forgot about, like, Mount Moon and the area outside of it. Oh, well, that was me miscalculating. Either way, Route 5, 6, 7, and 8 in yellow. So yellow, in yellow you can't. But in Fire Red Leaf Green you can. Okay, it's a bit confused. I guess because the first time I ever caught it was, like, in Gen 3 or something, but, oh well. So, Red Blue, Route 3, but we're probably going to be getting a Route 5, 6, 7, and 8, because this game is more based on yellow, so it would make sense if they do it that way. But hey, I'm all on board for that. I'm totally fine. Having a Jigglypuff in your team is not going to be too bad. And also, you will also be able to send any Jigglypuffs you have in Pokemon Go over to, like, the game, but that's only going to be able to be done once you've reached, like, Fuchsia City, which is, like, at the end of your playthrough. You've only got about, like, 2-3 gyms left at that point, so it's not going to be, like, super early on. You're going to have to play through most of the game. So I would say just catching it early on is, the most worthwhile thing to do. But yeah, that's just, Jigglypuff, nothing crazy. Then we have Wigglytuff, which is its evolution, which is simple as hell. You just evolve it. Nothing crazy there. Now, as for the evolution, I can't remember if there was anything weird you had to do because, Cerulean, okay, so you can actually catch it as well. I've never actually caught a Wigglytuff, like, off the bat. I think I only really, no, I think I've never caught it off bat. I've only really evolved and that sort of stuff. But yeah, you can actually catch one in Celadon City or in Red and Blue with Cerulean Cave, but I guess since we are kind of playing a yellow remake, I guess that won't be a thing. I mean, I could be wrong here, but either way, Celadon City, I guess that's where you can catch it, so that wouldn't be too bad. Or evolving just a Jigglypuff would really be all you need to do. Just evolving it, simple as that, nothing crazy. I feel like it would be very simple, very straightforward. So yeah, it's a fairy typing and a normal typing, so it's worthwhile having in your team. Then we have Mr. Mime, which potentially could be getting a Mega Evolution. Keep in mind, there is this rumor right now that it could be getting a Mega Evolution, so I would be, like, really on board for catching one if I was you, because honestly, if it does get a Mega, it's going to be super useful. Like, it's got a Psychic Fairy typing, and if it does get a Mega, it most likely will, like, I guess lose the... would it lose the Fairy typing, or would it just keep the same typing? So I'm really curious. But a Psychic Fairy type is worthwhile. Seriously, this is really worthwhile having. Mr. Mime is going to be so useful. You're going to be able to destroy any Dragon types you're up against, and potentially, I mean, it's going to be useful against other Pokemon as well. Specifically with that Psychic typing, you're going to be it's going to be really helpful. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be really helpful. But besides that, it's just a funny Pokemon. Mr. Mime, a lot of people hate Mr. Mime. I love Mr. Mime. But, you've got Mime Jr., which is the pre-evolution, which won't be in this game. Keep that in mind. But I love this thing. It's amazing. So, as for catching it, I guess you can catch it on both Red, Blue, Yellow in Route 2. Which I'm really curious about because I can't remember doing that in Route 2. Because that's really early on. I guess, would that mean that you're catching it on the other side or you're receiving it? Because, again, I haven't used much of Mr. Mime, so I wouldn't know. But I'm really curious about this aspect because Route 2 is really early on. So are they talking about once you have cut and you went under the Diglett Cave? Because that's the only way I can think of this working. It's the only way I can see this, like, actually making sense. Other than that, I don't think it really does make any sense. But if it's Route 2, then you must be receiving it or catching it in the grass right on, like, once you go under the Diglett Cave or Diglett, dungeon or whatever you want to call it. Once you've done that. So, I don't know. But either way, that is our next Pokemon. So we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, there's essentially here you can only count them as like one Pokemon if you want to because it's just evolutions. But these are 4 Pokemon. They're individual. So we've got 4 Pokemon, 5, and then finally number 6. If I've missed any, let me know. But I think this is the final one. And this is actually not even like normal Ninetales. You may be looking at it like, okay, it's Ninetales, big deal. But keep in mind, this is, and also, Vulpix is actually a version exclusive. I'm not sure which game it's exclusive to. I think it's exclusive to Let's Go Eevee, sorry. It's exclusive to Let's Go Eevee. So if you have Let's Go Eevee, you can get a Vulpix, but I guess you can't really get a Vulpix that's a Alola form because of the fact that they said that there won't be any way to catch Alola forms in the game. You'll only be able to send them from your Pokemon Go game over to your device. So the only way to get like the Ninetales, with Ice and Fairy typing, which this is like the destroyer of any Dragon type. If you have a Dragon type against you, Ninetales will be destroying them. You can't they won't be able to do jack all against this. Like you're gonna be destroying them straight up. And honestly, I think that's awesome. But the only way to receive it is from, to send it from Pokemon Go over to this. This is the only way you're going to be able to do it. And, if you go down here, it's not going to really tell you, Ultra Sun and Moon, trade migrate from another game, etc., etc., etc. Evolve Vulpix, Alolan Vulpix, trade migrate from another game, etc. Basically, there were version exclusives here as well. They were exclusive to Sun and Ultra Sun. And then, you had to trade them over to Moon and Ultra Moon to get them. But, that's the same thing that's happening now, except the only difference, though, is, which is a really interesting difference, if I'm going to be honest, the only difference now is that now when you're sending it over, this is really weird, right? Now when you're sending it over, you have to send it from Pokemon Go. You can't even, take it from, your other game, because the only way to get an Alolan Vulpix is to get it from Pokemon Go, or another method, and that other method would be to go to a local GameStop or something. Most likely is what Masuda was talking about, because when he said another method, I assume that's what he was referring to, because he didn't mention anything about trading from, Sun and Moon or Sun and Moon over to these games. There was a discussion about that, but it was more about sending from Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee to 2019's game, and there was no discussion about previous generations to Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. So, I don't know. But either way, I'm interested. I want to see what's going to be happening here. So, what other Pokemon are you going to be up against, most likely? And what are these Pokemon, these fairy types? What are they most useful against? Well, it's going to be Dratini and its little squad. Dratini, of course, evolves at level 30, which, by the way, I'm going to tell this right now. It's going to be really, unless you have Dragonites, okay, in Pokemon Go, several Dragonites, then you'll be fine. But if you don't have them, and you're somebody who doesn't play Pokemon Go at all, I do play Pokemon Go, but I don't play it that much. I'm not super active in it. I don't even have a Dragonite in it. But if you're someone who does play it a lot, okay, oh boy, then you're going to have an easy time to get a Dragonite. But if you don't, you're going to be stuck trying to level up a Dratini, which can take such a long time. Except, of course, in this game, of course, it's going to be slightly easier because you're just going around catching Pokemon. But specifically, okay, in previous games, when you played through Kanto, Dratini and Dragonite was like a must-have Pokemon that took such a long time to get, because it took such a long time to level up, because it evolves into Dragonite at level 55 and level 30 into Dragonair, so it took a long time to get. And then, once you have it, it's a powerful Pokemon, except now it isn't, because you have so many Pokemon, you can use to counter it. Of course, a lot of people will be running this. If you're playing online, I guarantee you right now, so many people will be using this thing. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be so many people actually running Dragonites. So, just be prepared, to just roast them if you have, fairy typing on you. But that's that one. Then we, of course, have Exeggutor. Now, you might be looking, okay, Grass Psychic, what's the deal? Well, you have, again, a Alolan form for it, which has a Dragon Grass typing on it, or Grass Dragon typing on it, which is the Alolan Exeggutor, which is Giant Neck. I have a bunch of those on Pokemon Go, so I'll be sending those over to use them, because Alolan Exeggutor can be really useful, I feel like. So that's going to be a worthwhile Pokemon to have. So in all honesty, a cool Pokemon, but again, going to be, easily countered by any of these fairy types, because, well, that's just what's going to happen. So you're already aware of this. Most people already know this, but I just want to kind of point it out, because there's going to be a lot of people joining in on this game that haven't really played Pokemon prior. So, hey, by the way, and finally, Mega Charizard X, of course, with that Dragon Fire typing, which is really nice. And of course, we already know confirmation that this is going to be in the game. There's going to be Mega Charizard X and Y, Venusaur, Mega Venusaur, and Mega Blastoise. All going to be in this game. So, yeah, it's going to be nice. By the way, that's going to be just about it, guys. I think we've gone through all of them. I think we've went through all the Pokemon that are going to be in these games that are fairy types over here. So, yeah, we've gone through them, guys, and that is just about it. We've got Jigglypuff right about me, and that's all for this video, guys. Now, let me know, what do you guys think about this? Do you feel that there's going to be a lot of disparity, like, it's going to be a lot of gaps between the Pokemon now? Because in the past, Dragon types were powerful and so cool. It was special to have a Dragon type, which was only the Dragonite's, evolution line, or Dratini evolution line, whatever you want to call it, or which order you want to go in. That was the only ones that were Dragon types in the past, so it was really hard, to counter them. But now you have so many Pokemon to counter them. Will that make Dragon types obsolete? Jeez. Or will it just be a situation where you're going to have to, outsmart your enemy by, trying to figure out what Pokemon they're using and try to balance your team around both these sort of, typings? Because, again, we've done it in the past, but now we're working with less Pokemon. In the past, we had, in Let's Go Pikachu, in Ultra and Ultra Moon, we had 800 plus Pokemon to work with. Now we only have about 160, 170, maybe, give or take, 160, I think, something like that, is what we're working with this time around. So it's less Pokemon, but, there's, a few Pokemon with specific typings that are really strong against each other. So I'm really curious. What do you guys think about this? Do you think there's enough, fairy types, enough dragon types? Is it, like, balanced enough? What do you feel? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.